Welcome to the world of professional violence. Grab your overpriced lukewarm coffee and sit down because we need to have a talk. You've seen the movies, you've played the games. You think every guy with a beard and a multicam plate carrier is the same. You see a patch and you think special ops. Well, newsflash, kid, in the world of JSOC, Joint Special Operations Command, there is a hierarchy. There are tiers, and if you don't know the difference between a Ranger, a Delta operator, and a Ghost from the ISA, you're just another tourist. Most people think Special Forces is just one big happy family of heroes. Wrong. It's a layered machine of specialized lethality, and today we're ranking them. Not by who has the coolest Instagram photos, but by their level of secrecy, their mission sets, and how much sleep they've lost in the last decade. Let's start with the foundation, the Tier 2 legends, the 75th Ranger Regiment. Imagine a hammer, a very large, very loud, very angry hammer that smells like dip spit and CLP. That's your Ranger. If the US military wants a door kicked down, they call the infantry. If they want the entire house, the neighbor's house, and the city block leveled and secured in 15 minutes, they call the Rangers. They are the direct action specialists. They are Tier 2. But don't let that number fool you. In any other country, these guys would be the absolute peak. In the US, they're the muscle that keeps the Tier 1 guys from getting overwhelmed. They are the security envelope. They are the gatekeepers of chaos. But then things get quieter. The air gets thinner. You move into Tier 1. You move into the Special Mission Units, the SMUs. This is where Delta Force lives. 1st Special Forces Operational Detachment, Delta. The unit, the D-Boys. These aren't hammers, they're scalpels. If the Rangers are the blunt force trauma, Delta is the needle in the dark. They don't just clear a house. They enter a room, eliminate 3 targets with 2 rounds each, and vanish before the tea is cold. Their level of lethality is surgical. They are the apex predators of the Tier 1 world. But wait, there's a level above, or rather a level to the side, a level so secret that the Pentagon spent decades pretending it didn't exist. The Intelligence Support Activity, the ISA, the Orange Guys, the activity. While Delta is the hand that pulls the trigger, ISA is the brain that tells the hand where to point. They are the ghosts. They don't wear uniforms. They don't have patches. They don't exist. They sit in the shadows of hostile cities with a laptop and a suppressed Glock, intercepting signals, tracking targets, and paving the way for the killers. Most people will never see an ISA operator. If you do, you're probably about to have a very bad day involving a Delta breach team. This is the routine of the secret world, a constant cycle of finding, fixing, and finishing. It's not about glory. It's about being the most dangerous person in a room full of dangerous people while wondering if you left the oven on back in North Carolina.
You think your CrossFit workout is tough? That's cute. Let's talk about the soul-crushing, bone-breaking reality of actually making it into these units. Because let me tell you, the failure rate is the only thing higher than the suicide rate for the ego of everyone who tries. Let's start with the Rangers. To even get a seat at the table, you have to survive RASP, the Ranger Assessment and Selection Program. It's 8 weeks of pure, unadulterated misery. It's not just about running miles with a 70-pound ruck until your knees scream. It's about the mental attrition. They want to see if you'll quit when you're cold, wet, hungry, and haven't slept for 48 hours. They want to see if you can still follow a complex order when your brain is basically a bowl of oatmeal. If you survive RASP, you get your tan beret. You're a Ranger. Congratulations! You've earned the right to work harder than anyone else in the Army for less sleep. But for some, that's not enough. Some want the Tier 1 life. They want Delta. And the road to Delta Force? It's called the Long Walk. Selection for the unit is legendary. It's not just a physical test, it's a psychological dissection. They take the best of the best, mostly from the Rangers and Green Berets, and they drop them in the mountains of West Virginia. You get a map, a compass, and a ruck that feels like it's filled with lead. You are told to go to a point. No time limit given, no encouragement, just go. You reach the point, and there's an instructor. He doesn't say good job, he just gives you another coordinate.
You do this for weeks, alone. No talking, no help. They are looking for the quiet professional. They want the guy who can motivate himself in total isolation when everything hurts and the mission is on the line. And then comes the psychological evaluation. A board of officers and psychologists will sit you down and pick your brain apart. They want to find the cracks. If you have an ego, they'll shatter it. If you're a liability, they'll sniff it out. Only about 10% of the guys who show up, and remember, these are already elite soldiers, actually make it. But then there's the ISA. Selection for the activity is different. It's not just about who can ruck the farthest or shoot the straightest. It's about who can blend in. They look for the gray man, the guy who can sit in a cafe in Beirut or a hotel in Moscow and look like a boring businessman while he's actually hacking a secure server. Their training involves advanced SIGINT, signals intelligence, and human intelligence. They learn how to disappear. They learn how to manipulate. They learn how to be a ghost in a digital world. It's a mix of PhD-level intelligence and Tier 1 combat skills. They are the ultimate hybrid. To be ISA, you have to be smarter than the guy you're hunting and more invisible than the air he breathes. It's a training pipeline that produces men who are comfortable living a lie, all for a country that will never acknowledge their existence. This isn't a career choice. It's a slow-motion car crash for your personal life. You don't do this for the medals. You do it because you're a psycho who can't imagine doing anything else.
Now let's see how this machinery of death actually works when the bell rings. Imagine a high-value target. Let's call him the architect. He's a middle-tier terrorist leader hiding in a fortified compound in a country that officially doesn't want us there. This is where the tiers stop being numbers on a chart and start being a symphony of violence. Part 1. The ISA. They've been in country for 3 weeks. They're driving beat-up local trucks, wearing local clothes, looking like every other civilian. But inside those trucks are millions of dollars in electronic warfare gear. They've intercepted the architect's satellite phone. They've mapped the Wi-Fi signals in the compound. They know exactly which room he sleeps in because they've tracked the heat signature of his laptop. They are the eyes. They send a burst transmission back to JSOC. The target is fixed. Part 2. The Delta Force breach team. They're coming in on Little Birds, the MH-6 helicopters that can land on a dime. They are the finisher. The ISA ghosts fade into the shadows as the dark silhouettes of the Delta operators descend onto the roof. Silence is the goal, but violence is the backup. They use flashbangs that disorient, suppressed weapons that cough rather than bark. They move through the house with a terrifying fluidity. They don't clear rooms, they dominate them. The architect realizes something is wrong, but by the time he reaches for his AK, he's already got 2 rounds of .300 blackout in his chest. It's clean, it's fast, it's surgical. But a mission like this doesn't happen in a vacuum. The local militia is waking up. They hear the helicopters. They start swarming. This is where the scalpel needs a shield. Part 3. The Rangers. While Delta was hitting the house, 2 platoons of Rangers were dropping into the surrounding blocks via fast rope from MH-47 Chinooks. They are the containment. They set up a perimeter. They aren't trying to be quiet anymore. They are the hammer. When the local militia turns the corner with RPGs and technicals, they meet a wall of Ranger-lead. The Rangers hold the line. They turn the street into a kill zone, ensuring that nobody gets into that compound and, more importantly, nobody gets out. They provide the muscle so Delta can do the magic. The extraction is a coordinated dance. Delta exits with the target's hard drives and his remains. The Rangers collapse their perimeter, providing cover fire until the last bird is off the ground. The ISA? They're already gone. They've slipped away into the city, just another few locals heading home before dawn. That is the tier list in action. ISA finds the needle. Delta threads the needle. Rangers make sure nobody breaks the needle. It's a brutal, efficient, and exhausting way to live. But when the world is falling apart at 3 a.m., these are the people who keep the darkness at bay. They are the ones who survive the graveyard shift so you don't have to. So, next time you see a special ops movie, just remember, the real ones are out there, right now. They're tired, they're on their 5th energy drink, and they're way more dangerous than anything Hollywood could ever dream up. Welcome to Code Black. Now get back to work.